Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to this week's episode of The Knife Guy. So what are we talking about today? First off, there are no Cobratec knives in this video. I have a feeling the YouTube algorithm is going to toss this out to everybody because a bunch of people are going to be curious that have never found my channel before. They've never watched my content before. Hello, welcome. If this is your first upload, I'm going to answer the question in the title like right away because I don't want to waste anybody's time. They are not made in the United States. What? They are. They have to be. They are. I know that. No, they're not. And if you watch my channel regularly, you know this. Like tons of my subs know this. But let me tell you, to my subscribers, you guys would be shocked at the volume of people who don't know this. Why are there so many people who don't know that Cobratec knives are not actually made in the USA? I think I can answer that, but I also want to talk about the broader discussion surrounding that. Number one, just to save some time, you don't have to take my word for it. You can call Cobratec right now and ask them that question. In fact, that's what I did, right? Just to make sure that I knew the exact answer that everybody else would get if they did it. They will tell you our knives are not manufactured here. The individual pieces of the knives are manufactured in China, and then they're shipped there, and then they assemble them. Partially because I would imagine that they have to do it that way, given that they are automatic. A lot of them are automatic knives, right? But yeah, I also want to be clear about this. The guy I spoke with at Cobratec was super nice and professional, and he gave me that information immediately. I said, hey, listen, can you tell me where your knives are actually made? Right? It's kind of a soft, there's an opportunity there for deception, and he was like, they're not made in the United States. They're not made here. We don't make them. They are the individual pieces are made in China, and then we assemble them here. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate that they gave me that information up front. To my knowledge, even on their website, it doesn't actually say that they are manufactured there in the United States, right? I think it's other retail sites currently that say that. Before I continue this, I just want to be clear. If you own a Cobratec knife and you're like, yo, so what? Like it works just fine. Like it's been a great knife. Like why are you taking a crap? That's fine. If it works for you, I think that's great. You know, especially if you knew that they were not, like, let's say you called and asked them and they said, no, they're not made here, right? They're just assembled here. And then you went ahead and bought it and that knife has been working for you. Thumbs up, you know, like, because it's working for you. It's a good knife. It doesn't, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we know exactly what it is that we're buying. But the current situation, is that a lot of people who are, really involved in the knife community are very much aware of this, especially if you've been around for a long time. Like we know what those are. Those are rebranded. A lot of them are rebranded Microtech clones, right? Funny enough, they're actually sold in many places on the internet for as low as 1/3 the price that you're actually paying through Cobratec, which is, that's going to sting for a lot of people. But that's true. And many of us have known that for not a couple of weeks, not a couple of months, but over 10 years, easily. I mean, those have been around for a long time. I think maybe what happened, and I can't prove this, is at one point, Cobratec may have actually advertised that their knives were, and Cobratec's not the only, like this, they're far from the only company who has had this occur, right? Who has allowed people to be manipulated into thinking that they're buying something from a reputable U.S. company, right? Oh, no, that happens a lot. There's a lot of companies out there, right? But maybe at one point they were getting away with saying, yeah, USA made. And then, at some point they were like, hey, you can't say that because they're not. They're assembled here. Like, this is like a legal issue. And they're like, oh, okay, then we'll take that off our website and we'll just start being honest, right? And then the retailers who are authorized to sell their products just decided, nah, we're not going to update that. So if you go to, not the Cobratec website, but other companies who sell Cobratec knives or other retailers that sell Cobratec knives, there are a staggering number of them on the internet who are selling them as USA made. And that's why people are getting manipulated. It's also, here's the other part of it, It's also because people who step into this knife world for the first time, they discover my channel. Oh, so cool. Microtech Combat Short Arm. I gotta get one of those. Those things are awesome. What? $450 for a knife? That is a ripoff. Microtech should be absolutely ashamed of themselves, taking advantage of people who want to support American manufacturing by jacking the price up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my business and I'm going to take it elsewhere. I'm going to give my money to a true American company that's not trying to rip the faces off of American citizens. Cobratech. They sell their knives for a reasonable price and are made in the United States, according to this shady online retailer that I'm not going to ask any questions about because I'm absolutely enamored with the price tag. I'm going to give my money to them. They're clearly out there to put good American products into the hands of American citizens who care about American manufacturing. That's what's happening. And a lot of people, a lot of these people, listen, if I'm describing you, right, and what I'm about to say is going to be so like on the nose, it's probably going to, it might get you fired up. And I'm trying to tell you, if you came to my channel from TikTok, if you came to my channel from YouTube Shorts, right, or maybe Google recommended this to you, right, that's where you guys come from. You guys come from a lot of these people that are leaving these comments. No, Cobratech, it's me. No, it's USA. Like, yeah, you guys come from TikTok and YouTube Shorts a lot, right? It's just, I'm just being, that's where you probably came from. That's where I'm getting a lot of these comments, right? A lot of my subs who watch the long form stuff are like, where are all these people? You always see people saying these outrageous things and that they're in like the hundreds or the thousands. I never see. Go to my YouTube Shorts and sort by, click that button that says sort by most viewed. Look at all those, look at that number. And then comprehend where a lot of these comments are coming from that you guys might not be seeing. If I refresh my comments every minute, there are 100 new comments. 100. Those videos where I've talked about American OTFs, the number of people under those videos saying that all these companies are ripping everybody off and Cobratech, just buy a Cobratech, man. Obviously, USA made it way less money. Just buy a Cobratech. I love Cobratech. Cobratech. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, do some of these USA companies mark their prices up? Yeah, definitely. Does that mean that you can look at them and just blanket judge all of them? No, you can't. Because each company is operating by slightly different rules. Yeah, you have like certain static things, like USA labor is expensive. Yes. Are all of these companies that can legally claim made in the USA, are they all making the exact same percentage of their parts here in the USA? No. Believe it or not, the ones that can charge less money are making less of the knife in the USA. They're also working with materials that cost less to work with and are less expensive. So when you see a company who's priced substantially lower than everybody else, it's not always that they're just a better, more honest. No, sometimes it's just like, yeah, like we got two honest companies, but one of them is legitimately making a more expensive product, right? So Kershaw, for example, I love Kershaw. Huge Kershaw fan. Anybody who says Kershaw has not been hitting nothing but grand slams for the last 2 years, 3 years even, is out of their gourd. They're out of their mind. Okay, Kershaw's been doing great. They can do a Launch 16, made in the USA, $150, $160, CPM M4 and aluminum, right? But Hinder, we got Hinder knives over here, right? Making $425. I'll just go buy a Kershaw. Clearly, Hinder Knives is ripping everybody off. No, totally, different worlds there. Directly comparing these two knives. This isn't a legitimate argument that I get tossed every now and then, right? So I know that a lot of you know this, but again, raise your hand. Did you come from short form content? He sounds like he's implying I have a short attention span and am easily led astray. I don't like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm sorry. We're all susceptible to marketing in some way, shape, or form, right? But I'm just saying, if the majority of the content that you digest is short form, there's an immediate lack of potential context in this stuff, right? Like a lot. If that's maybe it might be, right? I'm just saying, like, don't get mad at me. You look inward, right? I'm guilty of it too. Like, I have my own. I'm like, what? That can't be true. Or, oh, I want that to be true because I've just been fed this like short little informative video, right? Anyways. Yeah, so the Launch 16 versus the XM18. Number one, are Kershaw USA knives, are they really made in the United States? Yeah, they are. Is 100% of the parts actually manufactured in the United States? Probably not. In fact, almost certainly not. I have not toured the Kershaw factory, so I can't tell you for sure one way or another, but almost certainly not. Like, it would be a universe-altering reality or a revelation, I guess, to find out that Kershaw is actually manufacturing every last part in-house. There's no way. Also, the Launch 16 is made out of aircraft aluminum. It's great. It's a nice material. It'll work, right? It's way less expensive than titanium. They're also not finishing it or machining it in an incredibly complicated way. The blade is CPM M4, authentic CPM M4, right? And I have to imagine they're heat treating it correctly, or at least decently, right? So take the less complicated elements out, the less expensive material, at least in the frame, right? And the fact that probably a good percentage of that knife, you know, the little things here and there are not actually made in the United States, and then do large scale, massive volume, because Kershaw is a much larger company than Hinder Knives. So does that explain the price tag? Yes, right? Hinder Knives, on the other hand, you're talking about a lot of titanium. 6AL4V grade 5 titanium. G10 front scale is always kind of a bummer, right? But the finish work on that knife is definitely superior. Whether you like it or not, that's fine, but the finish work is definitely going to cost a little bit more. Those things are hand-tuned and assembled. They're made in much smaller batches. Hinder knives are about 98%, 99%. I think maybe the bearings are not made in the United States, but literally every other part of that, they're doing that in-house. That is exponentially more expensive to do, right? So one of those products is more expensive. One of them is less expensive. I consider Hinder knives and Kershaw knives, right? You can disagree with me. Find a more expensive. If you don't like my example, right, take a less expensive U.S. company and compare it to a more expensive U.S. company of your choice that you respect, right? It's the same thing. Both honest companies. One of them is serving a different territory, a different price territory, right? Nobody wants Kershaw to come out tomorrow and say, look at our new knife. It costs $400. $400 for a Kershaw? No, thank you. Oh, but wait, we're actually making this one entirely in the United States, and it's got titanium and premium materials. Okay, but it's also just a Kershaw. Like, come on, Kershaw. You can't charge $400 because it says Kershaw on it. Like, we know, like, even though it is, like, you just, like, led us and gave us, like, a very, you know, detailed, like, PowerPoint presentation, actually physically walked us through and shown us all the processes and exactly how expensive it is to make this particular knife out of these particular materials. But at the end of the day, it still says Kershaw on it. And as we know, the words that it says on it is really the ultimate determining factor. No. People don't want to see that. Like, I mean, it's obviously I'm mocking and joking. That's not how that works. Kershaw can't appeal to, I mean, they created ZT to appeal to an audience that was willing to pay more money for a knife if it had more in it, right? But people don't want to see $400, $500 Kershaws. So they got to make knives that are going to appeal to the people who want a Kershaw but don't want to spend over a certain amount. And they do a really good job of it. Definitely. They make a great $150 American knife. They do a really good job. They've nailed that, right? Hinder Knife serves an entirely different audience. There definitely are USA companies that are taking advantage, right? We got a lot of companies who are maybe making most of the knife in the United States. Maybe it's a larger percentage of stuff that's made, like the pieces of the knife that are made here. Maybe it's a larger percentage than Kershaw, but still not quite as high as a company like Hinder, right? But they're mass producing. And a lot of these companies are like, you know what? If companies like Hinder and Chris Reeve and Demco, if they can charge those prices, well, we can too, right? We don't have to explain ourselves. We're just going to charge more. Like, we're just going to be like, yeah, our stuff costs that much too. So deal with it. That I don't like as much, right? But the problem is, how do you pick that out? I literally like have dedicated all of my time to trying to do that. That's what I do. That's my full-time job, is picking through this stuff and figuring out this compared to this. How does this feel, right? Does this feel like something that is mass produced? Does it feel like something that is smaller scale, right? Is this company actually operating out of the United States? This is the type of stuff that I dedicate myself to, right? So earlier in this video, because we're 15 minutes in, and I talked about the implications, I think I brought up the potential implications of the Cobratec knife, people thinking that it's USA made, and then it turns out it's not, and maybe they weren't honest about it in the past, but now they're being honest about it. I think that's going to start happening a lot more often. I think with a lot of things, because people have things wrong about a lot of companies, right? CKF knives, for example, boy, people really I didn't know either. I reached out to CKF. Hey, where are you guys' knives made, right? Super upfront. Oh, the pieces are actually manufactured in China. And then they're sent here, which is not Russia, by the way, it's Slovakia. They pulled the whole business out of Russia back in 2020. Pulled the whole business out of Russia. They're in Slovakia. Most of the pieces are sent to Slovakia for finish work and fitment, right? There is a lot of hands-on processes. I didn't realize that. I always assumed, a lot of this has to be done in China, right? And then they do a little bit of finishing in Russia, and then they call it a Russian-made knife. That's not true at all. The problem is that this isn't really they don't make that known, right? It's not advertised in everybody's faces, so everybody has a different idea of what's going on, and there's no bother to correct anything, right? I think a different approach than Cobratec, a different timeline, a different evolution, right? But it's essentially people think one thing, and then no one corrects them, so everybody thinks that. Now, some things are still done. He said, we still do one-off customs, when we actually do a real one-off custom. We do those in Russia. And every now and then there are some fitment things that are done in Russia, but the vast majority of it is Slovakia. So if you didn't know that, there you go. That's the actual answer. You can reach out to him on Instagram. He'll tell you, right? But we need better transparency. There's a lot of stuff right now that is zero or very little transparency. I hate secret OEMs. Our OEM doesn't really want to be named, right? Or, well, I'm sure you can guess who did it, but they don't really want us to say anything. Riyadh, why do you tell companies that? Riyadh, why do you guys do that? Riyadh's not the only Chinese OEM that does that. I have no idea. If you made it, put your name on. Why? Why are you telling them to keep it a secret? That's so weird, right? We all remember what happened with Hoback knives, right? It blows my mind that any company, if you're thinking about starting a knife company, starting to make your own knives, and you're like, I could have these made in China and just tell people they're made in the USA if I just refuse to answer questions and don't let anybody tour my facility. That's got to be the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Talk about the fastest way for a community to bring an aggressive hammer down on you. The knife community is really good at sniffing out fakers. That's a terrible idea, right? As far as who's making what for who, I'm still confused on a lot of it, right? And I think that there are some big secrets, especially when it comes to Chinese OEMs. I think there's some really big secrets out there that very few people know. But I have a feeling that certain things are going to get, revealed. And I just, I hear this or that, or I hear this company used to be this company. And these are all rumors, right? I'm not all about spreading rumors. I don't know. The information that I gave you today is information that I was able to confirm by talking with people. So this is information I want to get out, like the information with CKF and the information with Cobratec knives. This is the information I want to give you because these people, these representatives or owners of the company just gave it to me. This is the reality of it. I'd also really like to know which... This is a big reality that I think a lot of us have known for a long time, and I can say this. There are, I don't know which ones they are, there are definitely some big name Chinese OEMs that used to produce nothing but clones and then went on to change the name of their company and became reputable Chinese companies who make authentic original knives, or they collaborate with people, probably in some cases, ironically, collaborate with some of the people that they were creating the clones of. And so I don't know exactly for sure, like, because no people won't say, but that's definitely the case in some situations, right? Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like people are just like, oh, if we just never say anything, then it'll all work out. It's like, maybe just be up front, right? If things are like with Cobratech, it really, there should be like this knife is not manufactured in the USA. Like, it should be right in your face, because there are still so many people who are buying these things just with the assumption. The other thing that makes me mad is, like, a lot of that stuff, it's just spray painted with the American flag. Like, the vast majority of stuff on this earth that has an American flag on it is probably not made in the United States. And for some reason, there's just a huge percentage of people who are like, this got the American flag on it, so I'm supporting the USA by buying. I bought this product with the American flag on it. I'm a USA supporter. All right, you know, what can I say? I'm just a good person. Man, I don't know. It drives me nuts. And as many things as that I know, and I'm like, man, how can you not see this? There's also, like, there's so much stuff that I don't, and I want the transparency, right? Nobody likes to find out years later that the thing that they've, like, there are people watching this video right now who have been carrying a Cobratech knife for years, telling all of their coworkers, their family, their friends, how important it is to buy American and support American companies. They've been walking around with this thing in their pocket forever, and they're finding out today, as of my video, right? Maybe initially in disbelief, then they call Cobratech and find out for themselves. Watching my video, realizing that's not true. They've been walking around with a Chinese product in their pocket, which, by the way, is fine, right? But if you're very much, like, against that and you want a USA, that's a devastating blow, right? And it's not entirely their fault. It's the fault of people who just were like, I don't care about the truth. I just want to sell this thing, right? So, yeah. Yeah, it's not, the knife world is not simple. You cannot simplify it. You can't oversimplify it. Each individual company really has to be dissected to figure out exactly what's going into their products and exactly how fair their prices are. They have to be dissected. I'm not saying I'm the only one who can do it, and I'm not saying that I do it perfectly. In fact, there's tons that I miss and that I don't get correct, but I'm doing my best to dissect this stuff and to explain it to you. But if this is all news to you, or the idea that all of these knives are not created equally, right? If that's, like, really surprising to you, I would say just be really careful before you buy something. Get every last teeny tiny little bit of information you can on a product before you buy it. If you find a product that appears to be authentic on a website that you're not 100% sure about, but gosh, that deal is so good, it's probably because all the other retailers are marking them up, and here we got a good old boy. We got somebody who's just on the team of the consumer, right? No, probably not. You're probably buying a fake. A lot of times you can go to the manufacturer's website and look up a list of their authorized retailers. Is that retailer on the list? No? Then don't buy it there. I'm all for spending less on something that works out for you. I think a lot of people are going to watch this episode of The Knife Guy and assume, look at all these expensive knives he's got out here. He's clearly trying to promote the idea that buying more expensive stuff is better than buying less expensive stuff. Not at all. In fact, if you see that in the comments, call it out, because those people didn't watch the whole video, obviously, right? No. Buy what works for you. If you find a $20 pocket knife and you're like, I don't care, it's made in China, right? That's what I need. And you buy it and it works for you for 10 years, wow, yeah, that's perfect. That's what you needed, right? But if you're looking for something specific and you don't like the price tag, and then you hunt for something else, don't convince yourself that that thing is overpriced because this thing costs less money, this other thing. There's a reason for it. It's more detailed. You can't take the knife world and oversimplify it. You certainly can't compare it to the firearms world. I see people do that all the time, right? I could buy a gun for $250. I wonder why. Do you want to look into that? Look into it. Look into that company that's making that gun for $250. Find out. Find out why that is, right? The real answer is definitely going to shock you. Nobody likes to feel like they didn't get a good deal. Nobody likes to feel like they didn't get the thing that they were promised, right? But sometimes you just got to dig a little bit deeper because people are always keeping secrets. We have good players in the community, and we definitely have bad players in the community. And unfortunately, there are an endless supply of people who are just willing to accept a lower price tag just because it's lower, right? Especially in the age of short form social media content. Oh my God. It's never been easier to market something to an audience. Take it from a content creator, right? I definitely I promote my own channel, not products I don't believe in, but I promote my own channel through YouTube Shorts. Wow, that works really well. Definitely. But it's, if you digest a lot of short form content, just know, whether you realize it or not, like companies have figured out how to advertise really easily. And there's a lot of different, I think, cornerstones to what it is that I'm trying to say. But I hope that this translated correctly. I've always said, here lately with Knife Guy, I'm not going to do it unless it's like a really important topic. And I feel like today's video probably could have been split up into a number of different topics. But yeah, it was important to talk about this today. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. I'm sure I said a lot of stuff that it's going to bother people, right? Welcome to my channel. I don't mean any harm by it. I want people to get the things that they are promised. I want people to understand what it is that they're buying. That's the core goal of this channel, is information. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. If you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.